Hello, I'm Robin Gibson, and this is the Harvard House Money Morsel. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Click the bell so that you get a notification of when we're releasing a new video. You might see that I'm all ready to ride the Tour de France. We've got our bicycle here. Actually, no, that's never going to happen. But we have recently announced that Harvard House is the title sponsor of the Go Gravel Championships happening on the 13th of August. So please get your entry to ride that amazing race. But I'm sitting today with Michael Porter, and Michael hasn't been with us for the last couple of weeks. Welcome, Michael. Deep, dark Africa, I believe.
Yeah, Robin, it's come back to quite a shock. First of all, the weather in Botswana and Zim is very temperate. So we come back to sub-zero temperatures in Howick this week,
yes,
which takes a little bit of getting used to, especially for my daily swim.
Yes.
But apart from that, yeah, it has been a tumultuous week on the markets.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's actually quite funny because last week, Willie and I sat here and we talked about why the Rand had weakened so much just last week. I think we finished last week at 1944. We're now trading under 18. Is the market confused or are we confused, Michael?
Yeah, I was about to say, actually, tumultuous week in a good way for a change as opposed to a bad way.
Yeah.
But yeah, Robin, I think it's just an illustration of how quickly things can change. So the big event this week was US CPI inflation.
Yes.
So last month, the number was 4%.
Yes.
This month it came out to 3%. And that was, I mean, people were expecting it to fall, but not to that extent.
Yes.
So now you've got US inflation headline back at 3% versus the Fed's 2% target range. That's very close to where they're hoping it would be. And markets have obviously reacted to that. And as we said in our recent presentation, two things were exactly happening. The dollar's weakening,
yes, because
the expectation is that interest rates aren't going to rise that much further. We still think they're going to rise a little bit, but you can see the peak now, definitely, you know. So the US dollar is weakening, which is causing the Rand to strengthen a lot.
Yes.
And commodity prices are rallying, you know, which is obviously also good for local shares and obviously the local economy. So exactly the factors that we illustrated in our presentation are coming into bear. And SA has had a good week on the back of that, SA shares.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Michael, I was looking at some charts with Willie yesterday, and one of the things that just seems so interesting around interest rates and markets and what have you is that the market has to really kind of get an understanding of when things are moving so they can get ahead of it, don't they? I mean, that's as you've said, interest rates are still going up, but they're looking through. How far ahead are people watching, and what are they thinking in, okay, something's happened? What is going through their minds?
Yeah, I think that's the big unknown in markets, Robin. Sometimes markets don't look ahead at all and they focus on the here and now. Other times they're kind of looking through the cycle and saying, okay, well, we know things are going to get a bit harder, but we can see the other side of the valley or whatever the case is. So I think in this particular instance, they sort of, okay, there might be another interest rate hike. But, you know, after that, you know, that's only in maybe next week the Fed meets.
Yes.
We might hike interest rates then, but, you know, the next move is probably going to be down, even if it's only in 2024. I think the harder thing now, the market will start to shift now to some of the other factors. When interest rates have peaked, it'll start to shift to how economic growth is holding up, how company earnings are holding up.
Yes.
And so US reporting season basically got underway yesterday. It really gets underway today with JP Morgan and Citibank reporting.
Yeah.
And so from now, I think there'll be a bit more focus on actually how companies are doing and how they're reacting to events, you know, and maybe taking a step back from some of the big economic data and just seeing actually on the ground what's sort of happening. And probably more important than the actual numbers will be the commentary that management is saying and the guidance that they're sort of giving. So yes, the market will start to look for, and I think the market will start to look for increasing signs of whether there's a recession coming or whether we're in the Goldilocks scenario, especially in the US, of not too hot, not too cold. You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, Michael, I mean, one of the things that you pointed out in your presentation, and funny enough, I've read it in a number of places this week as well, is the fact that emerging markets might actually bring interest rates down sooner than, say, the Fed, because they started earlier. do you want to make some comment into the South African scenario? I'm sure lots of people are interested around that.
Yeah, that's really tricky, Robin, because I mean, the SARB is also going to meet next week, and I think the expectation is that rates will probably rise again for us next week as well. And the SARB's in a very difficult situation where, you know, you kind of want to follow the Fed, because if you start breaking away from the Fed too early, then you risk the rand weakening substantially again and fueling that inflation. But when they raised interest rates the last time, what they basically said was the rand needs to appreciate substantially for us to change our view. And that has basically happened. Yeah. And we should, I mean, if the rand holds these kind of levels, sort of sub 18, we should have another petrol price cut next month. And relative to this time last year, which was only a couple of months after the start of the Ukraine war, petrol prices were high, the rand was weak. You know, we are getting that disinflation coming through in our market as well. I mean, our inflation was 6.3%. If memory serves me correctly. Sorry, that's the impact of holidays. Yeah. But you know, we're coming right back into our sort of 3 to 6% range. So I kind of feel that the Reserve Bank's going to raise interest rates one more time locally, because they'll be scared of getting out of sync with the Fed a little bit and undoing some of the good work. But I mean, I think it's a lot less clear cut than it was. I mean, there is a chance that they pause. Yes, and see how things are going. I mean, this economy is on its knees. We know that. So there's no reason to raise interest rates. But the Fed wouldn't, the Reserve Bank wouldn't want to undo or risk the rand really weakening again. The rand might weaken because they raise interest rates because the economy is so weak. It's a really delicate situation locally. I wouldn't want to be the SARB governor. Quite honestly, I think he's treading an extremely delicate balance. You know?
So, Michael, well, hopefully there is some light at the end of the tunnel, and we're starting to see that maybe it isn't a train, which will be good news. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe. The last couple of weeks have shown you that anything can happen in a week. And so who knows what we'll be talking about next week. That could be quite interesting. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.